From the roots beneath our feet to the rafters above our heads. Roots to Rafters is a podcast about legacy, resilience, and the courage to build a life that's truly meant for you. I'm Rachel Dunham, and I am so glad you're here. Welcome back to Roots and Rafters. I'm Rachel, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Luke. You'll be hearing a lot more from him as we dive into the stories, the lessons, and the history that shaped this project. And he has one of the hardest jobs of anyone, trying to rein in one or more Hanlon, which is no small feat. In this episode, we're talking about something that touches every one of us, the hero's journey. It's the timeless arc of struggle, transformation, and return. Luke and I will share how this journey has shown up in our lives, how it threads through the story of my great-great-grandmother, Ida, and why it matters for you as the listener. This isn't just a conversation about myth or storytelling. It's about how we can recognize our own turning points, the dark valleys and the breakthroughs, and use them as fuel to build something bigger than ourselves. Whether you're standing at the beginning of your own journey and you haven't yet gotten the call, the messy middle, or trying to make sense of what you've learned so far. I hope this episode gives you a mirror and a map. Let's jump in. I strung you into watching Finding Joe last night.
I thought it was an awesome movie. You've talked it up so much, and it lived up to the hype 100%.
Good.
It definitely gets your brain moving, machine moving, and gets you thinking about where you are in your life and where you want to be and what you need to be doing instead of what you are doing.
Well, Joe is Joseph Campbell, and he was a philosopher who studied mythology, including like Native American. I think he started getting really obsessed with Native American history or stories, and then he started expanding and followed his bliss, which we'll get into later. But he basically started finding commonalities, and then he kept going further and further and started looking into religious stories, and then started looking at just human stories, and then epic movies where you're just cheering for the hero and all those things. And basically he found a common thread through all of it. It was the same story, is what he kind of figured out. And so then this movie goes into what that map looks like. The interesting thing is I was having a low night, and I just found out the house was rented, which I keep back to this is just a challenge. This is just another thing I have to work through. It's a setback, but it's going to make the story even more incredible as we keep going on. And at some point we're going to look back and see the reason why, and but just committed to continuing to go back to that belief, that point, but it doesn't mean that I don't have really tough moments. And so I was having a tough moment. It was a long weekend, and whenever you go from a long weekend into the work week, it's always there's a little
kicking them.
Yeah, and so it was getting my head ready for the week, and then having that setback, and I was just you know what, it's okay that I feel these things. I need to give myself the space to feel these things, but I can't stay there. So I asked ChatGPT to give me some recommendations for movies that would inspire me for this project, because ChatGPT knows all about this project. And this was one of the movies that showed up, and I was okay. And I started watching it, and I was oh, I gotta go get a notebook. I started and I've never really done that unless it was for school that I was supposed to, but I was I need to write this stuff down. This is so good, mini nuggets. And I was just it's probably way past my bedtime. It was just like, wait, let me rewind it. And like, there was just like so many good things, and it just like, it's about this project, about what Ida went through. It's what I'm going through. It's about what every listener is going through. It's what you're going through. Like, it doesn't matter what is. Like, you can find yourself at some place in this journey. And that's exciting.
I think, being honest about it, the most interesting thing for me was that it's obviously filled with a lot of confidence boosting material. I think they alluded to it a lot in the movie, where they want the movie to be this sort of
like a catalyst.
yeah, like a lighthouse, the island
Like
of
a
where you're
lantern.
right, exactly. It's like hey, if you're lost, if you don't know exactly what you want to do. And it was very fitting for me personally, because of like sort of a weird spot I am in my career right now, kind of wondering what I want to do moving forward. You can spend your life in one avenue and find a lot of really great things from one portion from an industry. For me, it's trees, doing tree work, and spend years really honing in on that and doing as much as you can. And then it's like a light being switched, where one day you wake up and you're like, this actually isn't really what I want to do, and I've got a lot of fulfillment out of it, but that it's like the tank is empty and you've kind of ran it all up. And so you're thinking, well, do I train my brain to just be happy? Mm-hmm. Or do I totally just, okay, that life is over, and now this is an opportunity that a lot of people push so far down that they don't feel it. But now I have this opportunity to seek out what I meant to do.
I think it's really easy to gravitate towards career-oriented. Mm-hmm. Like, kind of when you're watching it, it's kind of, you start thinking about your career and like what you're, a good chunk of our life, in whatever career pursuits that we have. So it's like, that's where your brain kind of gravitates towards. But I also think that, like, they show hero's journey as a circle, which I also find really interesting, because as I was thinking about this project and as I've mulled over it for years, like, I just kept seeing like a circle, mm-hmm. And like, because I'm going back in time to like understand my family. Mm-hmm. I'm, being present in where I'm at and like my journey, and I'm looking at the future to like help other people that are going through similar things. And I feel like there's a part of this that's going to bring healing to myself, my family, especially given a lot of the things that we've been going through recently. And so it just, in my mind, it just keeps like coming back to the circle. So then that was another thing when I was watching mm-hmm. it. I was like, holy cow, like it's mm-hmm. a circle, like, yep. And it's following this whole path. It's like the same thing.
Right.
But one of the takeaways that I got was like, because I, of course, thought about it the same way. But one of the things I liked was that, like, that's not really just the trajectory of your life. It's like we go through, it's like every time we have like we're called to something more, like it could be a career, it could be, I've been struggling with this for a long time. Mm-hmm. I've not loved myself in this way. I have some sort of coping mechanism that that's been getting in my way of being the full potential of what I can be. Mm-hmm. And I got to work through that. And so it's like that circle can also continue throughout your life, mm-hmm. which I think is incredible, and kind of to help the audience a little bit catch up if you haven't seen the movie, which if you haven't, we highly recommend it, I would say. Like,
I think that,
anyone.
yeah, I think if you're interested in this story and the project that we're creating, if you are interested in just reaching your full potential or just, having better insight of yourself and understanding as a human being, yeah, definitely something you want to watch.
Yeah.
Finding Joe.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, and it's really interesting to see some of the people that they have on there that they're interviewing and I'm just off the top of my head was one of the founders of Fleetwood, and how he is the drummer. I don't know his name. I should, but I don't know his name. The drummer of Fleetwood, I think his last name is literally Fleetwood. So,
because you're Mr. Fleetwood. We'll just call him that.
He's interviewed in this movie, and he talks about how drumming wasn't just something that he enjoyed doing or he liked doing, and he found passion in it. It was as important to him as oxygen, and that's kind of the whole point. Is everyone has that thing. And it's so easy to just forget that you have that thing. Like when you're born with it, or you are born with it when you're a kid, you would know what it is, but you don't have the ability to express what it is. And then you grow up, and with more ability you have to express yourself, the harder it is to remember what you were born with.
Well, because we have all the learned... we, go through traumatic experiences. We learn the behaviors of the people who've gone before us. School is always traumatic for most people, and so you get these layers of like stuff that gets in the way of knowing yourself and knowing what you're meant for and who you're meant to be. And so then it's like they talk about it as like this like crack in your life, like this moment where it just like things start to unravel a little bit. And it's like every time that happens, every time you go through something difficult, you have a choice to like, I don't think that you can ever really be the same after you go through something traumatic or something like upending, but I think you can try to stay the same, which I think if you're trying to stay the same after going through something like that, like you're actually kind of throwing more layers on and like making it like you're going to be worse off almost,
right.
And then, or you can like answer the call and like rise above and like become like kind of level up, I guess. Or, you can like get sucked into it and like, sink down further or distract yourself from it. But like, you can't just stay the same. You'll never be the same.
Right. And you can speak to this, the way that it's depicted in the movie. And so we'll just go through all of it, start from the beginning. The hero's journey is in 3 parts: the separation, initiation, and the return. And so what you're talking about now is the separation.
Yeah.
And the way that it's depicted in the movie is it's a story about this big golden Buddha statue. And when the monks in the monastery knew that there was an army approaching, they covered the statue with concrete and mud and leaves and sticks to cover it so that the army didn't know that it was made of gold and they wouldn't plunder it. And so hundreds of years had passed because the army kept invading and they never knew it was made of gold. And then, generations later, monks forgot that it was actually a golden statue. And until one monk went to go pray to the statue, and as he was getting up, a piece of concrete fell off and realized that this is actually a golden statue. And so they worked to take it all off to present this giant golden Buddha. And that's kind of the idea of your separation, is that once you find it, it's impossible to fill those cracks.
Yeah.
You're just, even, you have the choice. How quickly do you want to take that concrete and mud and all of your what they call armor? How quickly do you want to take it off? How slowly do you want to let it fall off? But there's nothing you can do about it.
Or do you want to spackle over it? In which, if that's where you go, that almost like, it's almost like something's not right. Like,
Right.
If you choose to ignore the light within you, like the goodness, that potential that you have, like if you choose to ignore it, you feel it. You can't,
Right. Once you see that the statue is made of gold,
yeah,
it's very hard, even if you want to so badly to cover it up, and you do, and you make all the effort to, you can't forget that it is, and you're always going to be working to fill it. So either you present this golden statue and doing the best we can to explain this for people who aren't going to watch the movie. The golden statue represents your potential, who you are, who you're really supposed to be, the person you are that takes the effort to take away the armor and become who you were born to be and what you were born to create and do, and your role in your role on Earth in the short time frame that you actually are here. Yep.
Okay. And relating that to like the story, I think when we have seen the golden parts of ourselves and we start to realize that we're meant for something more, I think that's pain. That's a different kind of pain. Like, it's painful to like go through the process of like becoming yourself, right? Or becoming the person you're meant to be. There's trials. It's not an easy process, but there's a different kind of pain, a different kind of not easy that you have to go through when you choose to ignore it. You choose to move on and not answer the call. And I think that's when like you almost have to numb that feeling in order to keep moving forward. And that's one of the reasons why people turn to alcohol, drugs, pouring themselves into their job, relationships, just anything to distract from that knowing that like you're meant for more and you're ignoring that call, the call that they talk about is often, they just talk about it in the movie, that often it's a catastrophic thing. It's like a divorce, a death, financial disaster, and like in those terrible moments, like, of course it's going to be painful. Of course it's going to like uproot you. But then it's what you do next. It's like, what is this? Why is this so painful? What is this telling me about myself? And if we choose to ignore, then that's when that pain, that trauma starts to define us. And then that's when we have to numb out and distract from that pain of ignoring and just being caught up in that disaster,
Right. I also think that there's, myself being a Christian, I would say that I would point to parts of what Jesus said about about giving yourself up. And I'm not trying to make it a whole Jesus thing. I'm saying that that is one book out of tons and tons of stories, and that's the whole point that Joseph Campbell was making in the movie, or I guess that the movie was making about Joseph Campbell, right. Is that it's a human story. To give you to get to where you need to be, you have to give yourself up.
There's a death of self.
Right, and you shed away what you once were to get to where you need to be, and it's an incredibly painful process. It can be incredibly painful, but it's necessary if you want to live an extraordinary life. And you can keep, do your best to keep the armor on. But for some people, I personally, I believe that some people, they really, really want to keep the armor on, and they'll spend their whole lives doing as much as they can to hiding the gold. Then there's other people who just want to get it off, who are willing to embrace it, and it sucks keeping it on. It's like being ordinary just kills you. So you just have to be able to just shed it and do, even if it's the scariest thing. Like for you, currently, this podcast is a very terrifying thing.
Yeah.
But it also, and I know, and you can speak to this, probably feels like I can't not do it. It's like impossible. I can't even picture a world where this is not what I would be doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, of all the things, like, give me a workshop and some materials, like, I'm in my happy place, and if I could somehow magically tell Ida's story through that, like, that would be awesome. But I know that, like, this story has to be told, and that involves telling. And this is the medium, that I'm drawn to, and there's going to be others, but, like, it seems like this is often the case, is that on the other side of finding your purpose, fulfilling your purpose, well, I guess before you get to the other side of fulfilling your purpose, you have to go through your trials, and that those trials are usually going to bring you face to face with your dragons, or like the things that trip you up, the things that you feel uncomfortable about. And like over the past few months, I've just decided, I hate networking. I hate like putting myself out there, like, in this form. There's like so many things that I'm just very uncomfortable with, and I'm learning how to just press forward and I have to, like, I've gotten to the point where, and it was through, a really difficult time that like brought me face to face with the potential of losing this dream, and that like feeling, that like fear of losing it. Like I was afraid to just step out, but then when it got to a place where I was like, oh, this might never happen, that like just stirred something inside of me that was like, even though this is the worst time, in from an outsider's perspective, like this is the worst time for us to be doing this, financially, time, just all these things are just not adding up. But those always tend to be, it's like a tale as old as time, right? Like they always tend to be the times when it's right for you. And I think the fact that it doesn't add up, the math doesn't, the life math doesn't work out, that just shows how much more magical it is, and how it's truly, I mean, the way things have lined up in the past few months, it's like, I can't, like, there was, a few things here and there that were like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. But like, in just a few months, the things that have happened and how this is all unfolded, like, I can't ignore that. That is, it's undeniable at this point, but it would never have come to be if I didn't answer the call.
For you, it was this movie. It was beyond the movie. It was something that you felt inside. It was like you couldn't deny it. The hero's journey was just such a great way to explain exactly what was happening in your life, to where it was just this picture in front of your head. It's like, this is what I've been feeling. This is what I have to do. And there's a lot of people out there, a lot of women who, again, I'm not gonna speak on for
You're
women.
An ally.
You're the ally.
You're the ally.
But there are a lot of people out there who they know what they know that there's something missing. They're aware of it. You know it as a human being. You know if you're within your own life, you know when something's missing. This podcast is going to tell the story of
How and why
right.
get unstuck, I guess.
How to get unstuck, and for you specifically, it's people in your ancestry and yourself who have found themselves in very difficult situations and were able to stop, understand what they have, and gain so much and grab life and create so much for yourself out of what was really nothing at one point. Yeah. And how it's so scary when you don't see the path in front of you. You have no idea where it's going to end up. But it's how exciting is it to get to a certain point where you're able to look back, even if you're just a little bit down this new path of yours, where you're able to look back and say, oh, that's clearly different from this person's path. But I do think that I'm closer to what they are, what I want to be, than where I was. It's very interesting. It's really exciting to get to a certain point where you can look back and say, my path is cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's full of all these spots I never thought I would go, but I'm definitely in a better place than I was where I was when I wasn't comfortable to make any sort of a leap.
Yeah.
And you still can be not exactly where you want to be, but in a point in your life where you are just so pumped with what you've accomplished. And it kind of compounds, because the more blind leaps that you do take, the more confidence that you get that the next time you take one, it's okay, it's not going to be that bad.
Yeah.
I've been through it. And sometimes you take a leap and it is that bad, but then you get through that. You have another opportunity to take a blind leap where you're like, well, that sucked, but you get through it.
It's practice too. Mm-hmm. I think that helps when you're taking these leaps of faith. When you're like, okay, even if I don't get the results I was hoping for, even if I fall on my face, it's still practice in stepping out. Mm-hmm. And like in the movie, they say, like, do something that scares you mm-hmm. at least every 7 days, and I loved that, because being scared, having fear, being gripped by fear, like, I'm still afraid. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm still, like, terrified of, like, a lot of things I'm doing right now, but I'm doing it anyways. And by just doing it, I am reinforcing, I'm like, having that practice. It's practice. I'm practicing mm-hmm. stepping out. And the more we all do that, the more we practice stepping out mm-hmm. and doing something that scares us, the more we're going to be ready for when we get the call. If you feel like you haven't gotten the call, mm-hmm. the more you're putting yourself in that position of being uncomfortable, the more likely you are to get that call. Mm-hmm. And that's exciting. And I would say that's one of the things I want to challenge listeners at mm-hmm. is, like, if you don't know where you're going, you don't know what's ahead, you don't know what your purpose is, you haven't found your bliss yet, just do something that scares you. Mm-hmm. Try things out. I mean, they talked about that a lot. Like, there's so many people who haven't found their bliss because they haven't adventured at all, and they haven't found it because they haven't tried it, mm-hmm. So, like, if you don't know what you are meant to be doing, start trying stuff. Start mm-hmm. just like Tony Hawk was talking about how he wanted to build skate parks for kids. He wanted them to have the same opportunities to find his passion. So many people in a good place, and they've gone through the journey in the right way instead of just reaching for the things, but they've reached inside themselves mm-hmm. To become the person they're meant to be. Like, I think all of those people that you can see the character that was built through their journey, mm-hmm. every single one of them are reaching back. It's like mm-hmm. they get so far and then they reach back mm-hmm. and they tell the story and they show what's possible to the people who were in a similar place that they were in. And that is the magic. That's why you go through the trial, not just so that you can become the person you're meant to be, but so that you can share that with other people. And like the ripple effect of that is like blows my mind, you know, like, I mean, all of the people that we're going to be telling these stories to, that's going to be awesome. But think about all the women and men and children, whoever is listening to this, all of the people whose lives are changed, they'll have a new story and they'll be able to tell that story. And it's like the ripple effect of that, the multiplication factor of it, just, it's inexplainable when I think about it.
The impact of not just going on your journey as a hero, but the impact, that understanding that you have a journey. And if we can help people understand that and see that they have a pathway that they can go down, and they can listen to this podcast and listen to us and understand that we are currently going down that pathway now. We're on the journey now. And I'd say for myself, I would say I'm not at the slaying dragon stage. I'm maybe even still looking for the dragon, but I think that's where most people are. And a lot of people get stuck separating the concrete from the gold, and a lot of people get stuck looking for their dragon, but everyone is on a journey. And that's what we're here to do, is to tell Ida's journey and to talk about your journey and help people understand that they have options and pathways and resources and opportunities. And there's so much out there that you don't have to be stuck, covered in mud.
For more. Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
Well, great. I think this was great podcast understanding of why we're doing this and what we want to bring to everyone's lives.
Yeah. And thank you for entertaining me by watching the movie.
Yeah. It was a good movie.
You loved it as much as I did.
Finding Joe, everyone should watch the movie.
Yeah,
It was a great movie, The Hero's Journey. And it's, you know, if you listen to this and you're, you know, if it's 2026 and you're listening to this, because we, for whatever reason, we actually do resonate with people. If you go back and listen to these episodes, or if you're one of the first ones in the next couple of weeks who start listening to this, go watch Finding Joe. It's very important, very, very intertwined with what this project is.
Yeah. Yep.
The hero's journey.
And I can't wait to see where this takes, when you were talking about the, you know, going back to watch this, like, if, you know, many, many episodes from now, it just got me like super pumped. Like, I can't wait to look back and see how far we've come. And I cannot wait to hear the stories of all the people, you know, who this was that chisel for them, you know, this was the call for them. Like, I can't wait to hear everyone's stories of these listeners, and I can't wait to hear all the stories of the different guests that we're going to bring on. And I can't wait to see how this all evolves for us, for me, for you, it's exciting. And I love being a part of it. And thank you for being a part of it as well.
Thank you for having me on. I'm excited. I, too, am excited to see where we go and what this becomes. And I think that these first 3 initiation episodes of this podcast are important for us to be able to reference to, and for people to see, you know, I believe also with you that this is going to be impactful for many people. And I think that a big thing for us, these first 3 podcasts are big for us to be able to have a reference point to say, hey, listen, you know, 3 years from now, we will be telling people, go back and listen to our first 3 episodes. Yeah. If we can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
exactly.
And I think it's important for people to know that we're just sitting in chairs and talking and bringing ideas to the table and creating something that's way bigger than us as individuals.
Yeah.
And if we can do it, anyone can do it, because there's nothing extraordinary about us besides the individual paths that we find ourselves on.
Yeah. And our potential. The potential that each and every person, I don't care where they're at, what that potential looks like, the potential is incredible, and it's worth going through the dark for. It's worth going through all those trials, and as painful, and like, I don't ever want to like not acknowledge how painful life can be. I mean, it can be, and it has been. I've seen how difficult it can be, but just hang on, hold on. You might not be able to see what's next. We don't know how everything's going to unfold, but just hang on, hold on, keep going, don't quit. Quitting is failure. And we're excited to evolve and evolve with you, and can't wait for the next one.
Thank you for listening to Roots to Rafters. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe to help us reach more people with stories of resilience and possibility. Roots to Rafters is produced by Rachel Dunham and Luke Layton. This episode is hosted by Rachel Dunham and Luke Layton. Video editing by Luke Layton and Rosalind Adlam. Sound design and mixing by Michael Marty with Scratch Tracks Recording and Rosalind Adlam. This podcast shares personal stories and experiences for informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or mental health advice. Be kind, share love, and see you on the next episode.